Eevee certainly does have an interesting personality. Pokemon! 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 Hello everyone! I'm Dustin Benzel and welcome to another XY anime discussion. We're going to talk a little bit about X, Y, and Z later in this particular video, but right now we're going to talk about the XY anime series. I'm going to do my mini review on the Eevee episode and discuss the next Thursday's episode, which will be the tag battle. So anyway, let's jump right into the synopsis for the Eevee capture episode that I've written down here. So anyway, let's do this. Serena finds out in the very beginning of the episode that the next Pokemon showcase is in Anastar City. So she's preparing for that. She's excited, or she's getting determined to do it or whatever. So then the group ends up in a giant open field, and of course Ash and company, Serena and Clement, they send out all their Pokemon, let them enjoy the sights. So then Serena and Bonnie run into Eevee, who's dancing, on this stage. Basically, it's like a rock stage. It's like a theater stage almost, but it's like rock and it's small enough. And then Eevee's dancing on it, and it's part of Eevee's routine to dance or whatever. And then Serena wants it, obviously, because it's showing off beautiful moves, and she's like, oh yeah, that'll work great for Pokemon showcases. So then anyway, Ash scares Eevee by saying, hey Serena, Bonnie, let's do something, or let's get stuff going on, or maybe lunch is done. I can't quite remember what it was, but anyway, Eevee runs away, and Bonnie's kind of annoyed, I believe, and Serena's like, what can you do? And then basically I think they're having lunch and everything, and Serena's like, yeah, Bonnie and I saw an Eevee, and I've saw it, and I want to capture it. At least I think that's what's happening, and everyone's all excited for Serena getting this particular Eevee because she found it, and she's like, oh yeah, Eevee for Serena, so everyone's all like, how can we help Serena get Eevee? So then Clement tries to use a device that can detect certain body shapes, and of course he uses Fennekin's body shape, which is if you've noticed on the scan of the machine or whatever, it's all of the group's Pokemon that they've had at least at one point or whatever, and I'm sure Clement might have scanned it in or something, but one was Fennekin, and that was the closest body shape to Eevee that they have on the group. Fennekin is a tiny quadruped Pokemon. Eevee is the same thing. There's no other Pokemon that fits best. So Clement uses this particular machine to find similar shapes to Eevee, using a Fennekin body style, but Clement couldn't find the Pokemon involved. Instead, it found all these other Pokemon that seemed to be unrelated to the body shape that Clement was going for. I guess the machine took it as small Pokemon, but then again it detected Vivillon, so I don't really know. But anyway, the machine explodes as usual. And so then the group is, of course, forced to search by themselves without any help from a machine. They use their Pokemon to try to locate Eevee. Serena kind of goes by herself after telling Pancham and breaks in to go look in a direction, and she's just walking, calling out Eevee, and of course Serena almost falls off a cliff. But Eevee, who was in the trees at the time, was watching the whole thing. I think it's kind of funny that even though Eevee doesn't seem like the quiet personality due to its timidness, it was very funny to see Eevee just on the trees. And I'm just imagining that despite it being afraid, I'm feeling that deep down, Eevee is like laughing inside, like, tee hee, no one can find me here, kind of. But then Serena was basically about to fall off the cliff, and then Eevee's like, Eevee, indicating that Serena was in danger. So then Serena sees Eevee, and Eevee, of course, runs away. And Serena's grateful. She ends up with Pancham and Braixen again, and then later she puts a flower crown that she made earlier in the episode for like the Pokemon one she made for like Dedenne, and I think Bunnelby was also there maybe or something. I don't know. Maybe it's just like Pancham or Braixen or something. I don't know, but Serena made one for Dedenne and it rolled down. So then Serena made another flower crown basically and put it on the stage for where Eevee likes to dance, and then she goes away. And it was done to thank Eevee for saving her from falling off the cliff. So it wasn't really like there wasn't any ulterior motives for putting the flower crown. So then Serena goes off, does her own thing, and then it cuts to Clement into a very funny moment because it involves Bunnelby, Chespin, and Eevee a little bit. But Clement and Bonnie have set down some Pokepuffs to lure Eevee into the area, and then Chespin, of course, is being all Chespin-like and getting hungry and wanting to eat it, but then Clement and Bonnie are like, no, Chespin, this isn't for you. This is for Eevee. Then Bunnelby hears a noise and Eevee pops out, and Bunnelby's like a little nervous. And then Eevee grabs a Pokepuff and then basically runs off. And Bunnelby is like a little nervous here, whatever. But then Chespin, knowing where one of the Pokepuffs was, and it was the same Pokepuff that Eevee took, got onto the rock face or the tree stump or whatever it was, and and then when Clement and Bonnie looked at it, it looked like Chespin had eaten the Pokepuff. And so anyway, as Chespin is being berated, Bunnelby, who's like, I think at this point wishing Chespin didn't exist. I mean, I'm sure Bunnelby kind of does care for Chespin in a small sense, but I think Bunnelby is just so annoyed by Bunnelby or by Chespin that Bunnelby doesn't care if Chespin gets in trouble or whatever. And I'll, of course, throw a picture of Bunnelby looking, yeah, that's what you get, Chespin, for being annoying pain in my butt, basically. And it was pretty amusing. So anyway, then it's nighttime. Everyone is sleeping, basically. Uh, Bonnie turns into Tyrant again. No, just kidding. Serena can't sleep, so she gets up, breaks in, instantly notices Pancham still kind of fast asleep until breaks and moves, and then Pancham falls onto, or basically lays back onto the ground because I think Pancham was snuggled up against Braixen, so when Braixen got up, Pancham just fell backwards, and then it woke up. So then they go back to the area where Eevee was, and Serena, Braixen, and Pancham are watching Eevee dancing, and Serena's just very interested in this and hopes to catch it and hopes that sometime Eevee will begin to trust Serena. So then, basically, then in the morning, Serena puts on a display primarily for Eevee because Serena used Eevee's stage that Eevee usually uses to do the performance, and Serena has Pancham using Dark Pulse, Braixen using Flamethrower, and putting on a display primarily for Eevee. Serena notices Eevee and tries to get Eevee to realize, hey, you know, Eevee, I know you're afraid and all, but I really would like you to join me and do Pokemon showcases, basically. At least I think that's what was being said. And that Eevee has talent for dancing and performing, and it would be happy if it joined Serena to do Pokemon showcases or whatever. But then, of course, Team Rocket get involved as their usual, capturing selves, and ends up capturing Eevee into a caged net or whatever. And so then everyone's attacking each other. I think it was Pancham that started the thing where it used Stone Edge and did a lot of damage to Team Rocket. Eevee was flung in the air because I think the cage exploded at some point or whatever. Serena goes in and captures Eevee, doing a quick thing, kind of like what Ash does. Ash, in this particular instance, calls out Serena's name, like how Serena would usually call out Ash when Ash did something reckless or crazy or got hurt by something. It was Ash's turn to call out Serena. So I guess people can think of that however they want. So then basically Serena tries to ask Eevee if it's okay, but Eevee, being timid and scared, quickly jumps out of Serena's arms and then basically tries to run away or whatever. But then the battle with Team Rocket is not over with. Um, so then Team Rocket, because they're annoyed that Serena and everyone got involved, they used attacks directly at Serena. Then all of a sudden, Eevee uses Protect to block Serena, I guess to make up for the fact that Serena helped Eevee, or Eevee kind of had some sort of connection with Serena, I guess you could say. Then, of course, basically, um, Eevee uses Swift to attack Team Rocket. Ash has his Pikachu to blast off Team Rocket. And then Serena tries to get Eevee to trust it a little more, trying to explain that it does very well and or whatever, and really like it to at least trust it and join her on her adventure. Eevee then decides to warm up to Serena, rubbing against her fingers, Eevee's cheeks against Serena's fingers, and then basically allows her to capture Eevee. So then Eevee is let out again, and everyone else lets out all their Pokemon that were in their Pokeballs to meet Eevee, but Eevee keeps running into Pokemon and is scared. And then, of course, eventually Chespin gets really bold and creepy for Eevee, and then Eevee hides behind Bunnelby. The group doesn't know why Eevee seems to have a liking to Bunnelby. I think Clement mentioned this, like, oh, that's interesting. Hey, Bunnelby, Eevee likes you for some reason. Chespin clearly taking offense that Eevee didn't like it, tries to get Eevee to like it by chasing it around Bunnelby. Bunnelby's getting all dizzy. Bonnie is angry at Chespin or whatever for doing that. So Bonnie's trying to chase after Chespin. I think Pancham was also involved, but I'm not entirely sure for what reason Pancham was involved. I don't know if it was trying to stop um, Chespin or trying to protect Eevee or do the same thing as Chespin. I'm not really sure, but anyway, after a while, Eevee jumps into Serena's arms, and that's basically the end of the episode. Woo! Man, that was a long synopsis, wasn't it? Sorry about that. Anyway, so my thoughts are it was a cute episode. Serena captures another episode. I don't have a lot to say about this episode than the synopsis because it was basically, it wasn't too memorable, but it wasn't an awful capture. It was just very typical and obvious in your typical capture episode. And the only interesting thing, of course, was Eevee's personality and the events that revolved around Eevee being timid or whatever. But that was basically it. It was very enjoyable seeing Eevee jumping around, and dancing. That was kind of interesting. But that was kind of basically it. That's all I really have to say about this episode. It was just so typical. I think actually one aspect is there was one scene, and it was basically just a screenshot. Basically, it wasn't really animated, but it was of Talonflame scaring some Pidgey or whatever. I don't know if it was purposely scaring, but it was pretty interesting to see Talonflame appearing and scaring all these Pidgey and stuff. But other than that, there wasn't really all that to this episode. It was kind of like a lesser quality Snivy capture episode because I really enjoyed the Snivy capture episode because it seriously revolved or it heavily revolved around Snivy before Ash captured it. And I felt like there was more stuff going on within that particular episode. But it's very similar in some instances, but the difference being that Snivy was like traveling long distances basically, while Eevee just stayed in the immediate area, of course, and so that's interesting or whatever. But that's all I have to say about this particular episode. So, like I said, it was a pretty good capture episode, I guess. It was cute and enjoyable, at least a one-time watch, but it wasn't something so fantastic or whatever that you would just want to keep watching it over. I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine, but personally, it's a good one-time watch. The only time that I might be able to would want to watch it again is maybe if there were subs or English or whatever, but other than that, that's pretty much all there is to say about this particular episode. Anyway, let's jump into the tag battle episode, and I have some notes here. Shauna with an Ivysaur is confirmed. I will show you an image, and the interesting thing about this particular Ivysaur is I've never seen Ivysaur with that particular bulb pattern. With that, I don't know if it's brown or yellow, but there seems to be like a zigzag pattern appearance on like the bottom of the bulb. Of course, you can see it possibly. So I think that's pretty interesting. But Shauna's Bulbasaur did evolve in conjunction with Tierno's Squirtle evolving and Trevor's Charmander evolving. So then, of course, we see also we saw some image of Eevee hiding from everyone, being scared, which is the whole entire point of the entire episode, is to help Eevee not be so intimidated by everything. So yeah, the whole entire episode revolves around Eevee being intimidated or whatever, and Serena wanting to fix that. So then we also see Tierna with Blastoise, of course, and then of course it's I was wrong, and I meant to make a video earlier about this, but I decided to just wait for this particular video. Even though this video is coming out a little bit late, I do apologize. But actually, the tag battle is Serena and Shauna versus Ash and Tierno. So it's the boys versus the girls, which is very interesting. The only issue that I have, and I really do not want to address this very much, is that for whatever reason, Ash is not using Noibat. Noibat's VA was not listed at all in any way, shape, or form. It does the VA doesn't list Shauna as far as I'm concerned or whatever. But the fact is, Meek or whoever it was, the person who originally voiced Fletching and Fletchender, can't remember her name or whatever, but I'll make a note somewhere, probably over here or wherever the text is, and she wasn't listed at all, so it's not going to be Noibat, and the only one that was listed outside of Pikachu, of course, was Frogadier. So it's possible that it's going to be Frogadier and Blastoise versus Eevee and Ivysaur. Now, the only issue is I have, and like I said, I really do not want to bring this up, is just one thought. Biggest missed opportunity ever. And attached to that is, why is Eevee getting a battle before Noibat? But that's all I want to say. I don't want to dwell on that problem or whatever. Let's just move on. Then the last thing that I have to say about this particular preview, outside of it was interesting to see Blastoise doing a little dancing jig, I think, in the beginning of the episode, and it using what I assume is, well, I don't know what it's using, actually. I don't remember any attack that caused a Blastoise to be in its shell and swirling towards a Pokemon. I guess it could be Rapid Spin. Does Tierno's Squirtle / Wartortle know Rapid Spin? I don't know if my internet is working, but I'll kind of hopefully check real quick. Well, okay. Well, I'm assuming it's rapid spin. If Tierno actually does have rapid spin, I'll of course leave a text letting you know that it most likely is rapid spin. But anyway, the only thing that I have to say about this episode, outside of everything that I've said of the upcoming episode, is no Team Rocket. Which, of course, means absolutely nothing to me because it wouldn't have mattered one way or the other if Eevee actually showed up. So, but Frogadier is showing up in some fashion, and of course, but that's pretty much it. I have no idea what Clement and Bonnie are going to do in this episode. I would like to assume that Serena's Eevee does get used to people and Pokemon a little bit more. Maybe not completely trusting in them, but not as afraid anymore, and which would probably be the only thing that could happen. But that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else to discuss on this particular episode. Outside of it, seems like it's going to be a very typical episode, I guess. Uh, I really don't think there's going to be anything surprising going on, except maybe Frogadier learning a new move or Eevee showcasing another move. We did see a little shot of Serena. Anyway, we did see a scene of Serena with her eye in the similar fashion to what happened with Gumi or Gudra with Ash or whatever. We see Swift going across, but not necessarily Eevee. So I think it's pretty interesting that I think maybe Eevee is battling without Serena's say so, basically. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see what's going on there. So that's pretty much it. Now let's jump right into the Pokemon X, Y, and Z discussion real quick that I have to discuss. And we'll discuss it real quick. And this is basically just about merchandise. There have been some issues in regards to the forums and people's speculation. People are wondering what's going on, and I'm not going to be able to show you one of the images because it's very low res and someone never uploaded a high res photo, and I don't want to necessarily show a picture that someone else basically scanned. But basically, it's merchandise relating to the X and YZ series. It has Ash Greninja on it, Metagross, normal Metagross. It has Mega Sceptile and Mega Charizard X, I believe. There may have been Mega Garchomp on there, but I'm not entirely sure. And also, there was like Zygarde Core as well. But the interesting thing was that on the image was Noibat. Now, a lot of people are like, well, wait a minute. Does that mean that Ash's Noibat is not going to evolve relatively soon? Well, the way that I see that merchandise is that it just represents the first few episodes of the X, Y, and Z series. I do think we're going to see Zygarde complete form in some fashion in the first few episodes, or even Mega Evolution Act 4, which would explain why it would be showcased. Or it could simply be because it's Zygarde complete form and they're going to hype that up a lot more than just a random evolution for Ash. But I think all that merchandise proves, and of course it was already obvious to begin with, is that the first few episodes, Ash is going to have Ash Greninja and Ash is going to have Noibat. I mean, it's not like Ash is going to get a... sorry. It's not like Ash is going to get a Noibat in the first episode of the X, Y, and Z series. You know, like the last episode before the X, Y, and Z series is the gym battle with Olympia. I mean, sure, Frogadier could still evolve during that episode, and it seems kind of likely. But, and even if Ash Greninja also does appear, it's not like the very next episode Noibat is just going to randomly evolve. Of course, there's going to be some time when the X, Y, and Z series starts before Noibat evolves. If anything, I think it may point to a possibility that Noibat might be relatively used more. So I don't think it means that Noibat is going to not evolve for a long time. Given the X, Y, and Z poster, I still feel that Noibat is going to evolve between 5 and 10 episodes, but I'm leaning more to the high 10s or close to 10 as possible, like 8, 9, 10, maybe 11 or 12 episodes approximately, I think, when Noibat is going to evolve. So, of course, I don't think the merchandise means anything. But that's just my opinion. I will, of course, leave a description or leave a link in the description below so you can see what I'm talking about and judge for yourself. But I personally don't believe it means anything. All it means is that, of course, in the very, very beginning of the X, Y, and Z series, Ash is going to have Noibat. That was already expected and obvious, so there's not really a surprise why in that particular merchandise Noibat is going to be listed. What it might imply more is that Ash is going to have a Greninja before the X, Y, and Z series, as well as potentially Ash Greninja, which of course seems to be possible given that there is a gym battle coming up really soon, and the last episode Frogadier is confirmed to be in, while everything else seems to point to Greninja. So Frogadier is likely, probably, not guaranteed, going to evolve in the gym battle against Olympia. The only doubts that I have is they're not really telling us much about the gym battle outside of all about Olympia and what Ash uses, basically. That's all they're showing us about the gym battle. So hopefully relatively soon we'll get some interesting information on the gym battle that will point more to an evolution of Frogadier into Greninja during that gym battle and explaining the X, Y, and Z merchandise. Also to point out, it is just merchandise. On the image as well is Delphox and Chestnut. While I might accept the possibility of Braixen evolving into Delphox, I have a hard time believing that Chespin is going to evolve twice within a short period of time just to make up for Delphox and Greninja. Also the problem is, of course, that their 3 fully evolved starters are there, and Noibat is, but if we look at the official TV Tokyo poster of the X, Y, and Z series, we see Braixen and Chespin, as well as, of course, Noivern. So, basically, one last piece of thing, and I'm going to tie it to the finishing with Noibat and Noivern. This I do have an image of, and it is, of course, hinting to what Eevee will probably evolve into. It was expected, not what I theorized, but it was the second choice, and of course it is Sylveon. The interesting thing is Sylveon is slated to appear in the anime based on the image in February. The interesting thing about this is in March is when we're likely going to see heavy focus in regards to Zygarde complete form. But a lot of people are using this as evidence to discredit some of the speculation going on for teams. The particular image has 5 images. One has, of course, the Zygarde core nicknamed Puny-chan by Bonnie, I believe, with Dedenne and Pikachu. There's also Ash Greninja. There's also Zygarde complete form, and then there were 2 other images that I can't remember right now. I think I really saved the image. I don't know where I saved the image at, though, but here we go. It has 50% Zygarde, Puny-chan with Dedenne and Pikachu, Zygarde core, Ash Greninja, Sylveon, and of course, Perfect Zygarde. Now, people are pointing this as like evidence that Noibat isn't going to evolve relatively soon, and it also implies that Ash's, the Sceptile, Mega Sceptile, is not Ash's. No, people, no. First of all, not all the Pokemon are on there, okay? Noivern is not on there. Neither is any other Pokemon. Now, people will be like, well, maybe this hints to, only certain spoilers. But the issue is, of course, it's got 50% Zygarde, Perfect Zygarde, and Zygarde Core on 3 different ones. Clearly, this particular merchandise is not meant to be taking so seriously, basically. But anyway, my point is, as this relates to Noivern, is that with all the evidence that we have, I think we can say for certain that Noibat is going to evolve before any other Pokemon, except after Frogadier becomes Greninja and becomes Ash Greninja. I think that's all of this is pointing to. The next team change is going to be Ash evolving Frogadier into Greninja. And depending on that circumstances, either we're going to get Ash Greninja relatively soon or right after. What this also implies is that right after Ash Greninja, the next team change, of course, is going to be Noibat into Noivern. Then potentially Eevee evolving into Sylveon, and possibly Chespin evolving into Quilladin. The only way that we're going to know for certain is the opening. The opening should show spoilers between 15 and 17 episodes. I expect Noivern and Ash Greninja to be in that opening. If I'm wrong, then they really fouled up, because Noivern shouldn't have been on the poster, the X, Y, and Z poster, and I'm wondering why they put Noivern there as opposed to Noibat. Kind of like they're hinting at a release to Noibat more than anything, if that ends up being the case. Also, one last thing before I finish this particular video. A lot of people think that Noibat is going to take 20 to 40 episodes to evolve. 20 episodes might be reasonable, but any more and you run into the month issue problem, where if you get too far in, 6 months, remember there are 52 weeks in a year. At maximum, without breaks, even counting double episodes to make up for breaks, there can only be an absolute maximum of 52 episodes a year. Not 53, not 54, only 52. 52 episodes basically represents a year. Half of 52 is 26, which is 6 months. You know what the issue with that is? They are barely working on episodes as we speak that will not air until 6 months from now. And 6 months from now will potentially be still September, so October. Well, no, let's not, because it's at the end of October. So we'll count November, December, January, February, March, April. They are barely working on episodes right now for April. And by that, I'm sure they've already done the voice acting technically for April. But what it also means is that they still have to animate it. They're probably in the process of animating April episodes as we speak right now that won't air until April. That is the biggest issue with all of this. Noibat is not going to take that long to evolve. They will reveal 15 to 17, or with the case of Eevee, if you technically count the cosplay episode as an actual episode, 18 episode gap is probably the maximum. Apparently they upped it to 1 episode. 18 episodes is pushing it, by the way, but it's at least reasonable to create an opening around. So the opening will confirm what I believe. If we see Sylveon in the opening, if we see Quilladin in the opening, if we see Noivern in the opening, then my speculation, my theory is correct. My argument is correct. First comes Ash Greninja, then Noivern, then Sylveon / Quilladin, depending on the circumstances. But all of this merchandise doesn't really mean anything. It can hint to evolutions, but it's not going to hint at when the Pokemon evolve. So like I said, the X, Y, and Z merchandise with Noibat, I'm pretty sure only deals with the very early beginnings of the X, Y, and Z series. The only reason why Xerneas or complete Zygarde is on there, or perfect Zygarde, depending on if you are from Japan or not, is because they just wanted to go ahead and put it on there to hype up the episodes, because of course it's very important that this exists because they're revealing it so early despite the games haven't been announced yet that actually has these forms in the game. So I think what it is for Zygarde in particular, that one they can hype, but for everything else, it's not an indication of what everything else. Other than Ash Greninja comes first, then Noivern, and then depending on if Chespin is going to evolve, then it's between Quilladin and Sylveon close together. Outside of that, however, we have nothing more to say until we see the opening and we see potential spoilers. The spoilers should also hint at who has Mega Sceptile as well. So that's all I have to say about the merchandise. In regards to the timeline, like I said, that's what I think, I believe. If Noibat is Noibat in the opening, but there's Sylveon and Quilladin, then I can concede that the Noivern on the X, Y, and Z poster meant absolutely nothing as per usual. But I do not understand why, if it was Ash's Noivern on that poster, the X, Y, and Z TV Tokyo poster, why would they put it there if it wasn't going to take until 6 months to evolve? I really think the poster only shows the first 5, 10, 12 episodes, and that's why if Eevee is going to evolve Sylveon in February, potentially, that's why Eevee was on the poster, because Eevee evolved in the 12 to 13 episodes. There could be other reasons and other explanations, but that's all I have to say. And you could take whatever you want out of that, and you can come up with your own theory, your own speculation and thoughts. And if you want, go ahead and put it in the comment section. Anyway, that's all I have to say. There's nothing more to say. I don't think there was any more summaries or titles revealed outside of what we know. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'm Dustin Benzel, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.